How is your portfolio doing?
Great at the moment. I bought some more Binance coin yesterday and sold some Litecoin with a 200% return.
Sounds good. I bought some more Ethereum this weekend, which was a good choice so far.
What's an Ethereum? Is it like a new video game?
Dude, do you even know what crypto is?
You mean the Bitcoin stuff?
Yes, dude, cryptocurrencies. It's our way out of this wage slavery. I already doubled my money within 2 months.
You should try it too, Wojak. It's like stocks but on steroids.
But don't you need a lot of knowledge to be able to make some profits?
The whole market is going crazy. Gains are everywhere. Even without knowledge you can become rich. If you just follow us, we will guide you.
Okay, sounds good. I'll open an account after work. Damn, this is looking great. I should have done this earlier.
I hope you're making enough money for me or you'll get fired. Make me proud and rich, Wojak.
Just hold on, Wojak. In a few days you will be able to retire and buy his wife with your crypto gains. I need to put more money into crypto in order to make bigger gains.
Lord Bog, it is time for our master plan.
I have been waiting for this moment.
Whenever you're ready, master.
Dump the whole crypto market now.
Have you seen Wojak?
I haven't heard anything of him.
You don't think he forgot to
Sell his crypto?
I hope he did, because otherwise...
So Wojak, did you sell your crypto last night?
Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts and do some TA, and we'll get straight into it. So Bitcoin has had this pump up all the way from 29.2 to around 34,000, and currently we are in a golden pocket area, so we could possibly get a pullback here, and that's just taking it from this peak down to here. If we were to look at this bigger peak here, we could take it from this high and take this down to the lower low that we created here, and this would be a more accurate representation of the whole range. We haven't made a lower low here or a higher high, and this would put us here at this 382 level, and the golden pocket around 36.8, and that would be in line with the trend line here that connects the bottoms from this action at the top range and also this high here. We also have this trend line here connecting the top over here and this top, and did act as resistance here. We were battling it, and we have gotten above that trend line now. Also looking at the RSI, we did have this trend line here, this 6-month long trend line, that every time we came up to it we did get rejected. It acted as resistance all the way down here, and we have broken above that trend line, so that's a very good sign for the bulls. We were also looking at this bullish divergence here, where we were having higher lows on the RSI, lower lows on the price action, and we did actually break below the previous low here and make a lower low, so there wasn't actually bullish divergence here. But on the futures chart there was bullish divergence. We actually closed higher, and I'll show you that on the next chart. And looking at the VPVR, amount of volume traded at certain price levels, we did get above this initial spike here at 32.6, and we're currently battling with this spike here. And the next biggest level and the point of control here is at 36.1, so this will be a bit of a test for Bitcoin to break this level. And of course we have that golden pocket and this downward sloping trend line just above, also around 37,000. Also looking at the EMA ribbon on the daily, we have come up into this ribbon, and the top of this ribbon is where the VPVR resistance is, around 35.6. If Bitcoin can break above this level here, these trend lines and this resistance at 37,000, I would be confident that we would make a push higher. And just to show you that bullish divergence on the futures chart here, we did make a higher low here on the RSI, or making a lower low on the price. So we did have all of this bullish divergence all the way up on the RSI. And looking at the same downward sloping trend line, we can see we battled it here, and currently we have gotten above it also. But one thing to pay attention to is we are in a weekend, so futures isn't trading, and the peak of this wick on the last day of the futures trading is around 32.9, and currently we are above that range, around 34,000 area. So this will create a gap when we do open on Monday, and quite often we do come back down to fill that gap. And looking at the VPVR on the futures chart, we did have this big spike here where we closed the futures, and if we open up here around this 34,000 area, perhaps we'll come down, fill that gap, and use this as support, this previous volume resistance, and the most amount of volume was actually traded here. So it would be good to see Bitcoin bounce off this area if it does come down to fill that gap. And looking on the daily, I do have all these boxes drawn here, which are supply demand zones. And whenever we were in an uptrend and we went sideways here with a red candle and continued up, that's where I've drawn these boxes. Indicates that there was buying and selling here, and these areas can act as support or resistance. And I've just got one drawn for this one, and you can see all these areas where we did have this sideways movement in a trend. So just watching Bitcoin to bounce between these levels, we can see we broke the first level here and moved up to the next level, and we came up to the third level here, got resistance, and we're retesting this one, but we will be able to see that better on a smaller time frame. So if we go down to the 1 hour chart, this is where we've had that bounce from, 29,000. We can see this first box drawn here acted as resistance. This was when Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey were doing the B word conference online, and we did have quite big price movements while Elon Musk was speaking. But this did act as resistance, this box. We saw it acted as resistance here also, and we came back down. And then on the third try here, we did break it, and we came back up into the next level of supply demand zone. And we can see it acted as resistance for a while here. We did trade sideways, and eventually we did break above it. We came to the next box here and currently acted as resistance, and we've come back down to the previous box, and currently it is acting as support. We did get a bounce here, so we might be going between these two ranges at the moment. So it's just a way that you can trade looking at these boxes of supply demand zone, looking at them as resistance or support zones. And just when it does act as support, we can get into a trade and possibly take profits at the next box drawn here. So we do have several boxes here, and I'll just be watching Bitcoin to bounce between these levels and use them as a way to trade. Over to Bitcoin on the weekly here. We do have this falling wedge drawn. Did have a couple of touches on either end, and with this bounce we have come back up to test the top of this trend line, and it looks like we have pretty much touched that trend line. So perhaps it's still possible that Bitcoin could come down for another touch on the bottom before trying to break out. or if we do open the new weekly candle above this trend line, perhaps we'll come back down to fill that gap and bounce off the top of the trend line. If we do use it as support, I would expect Bitcoin to push higher here, as we have broken this falling wedge pattern, which is a bullish pattern. The yellow and the green lines here are the 50-week moving average and exponential moving average. We can see we're in between the two at the moment, and the blue line is the 21-week exponential moving average, and that's around 39,200. We're also watching this weekly EMA ribbon here, and we did close below the ribbon, and I said with this current week I would like to see Bitcoin close back inside that ribbon. I didn't want to see a candle open and close below the ribbon, and we have gotten above the ribbon. The bottom of the ribbon is at 32,650 approximately, so this is a good sign for Bitcoin also. We were also looking at the 2-week chart. We had this box drawn, the supply and demand zone, and we did close below it, and now we have pushed back up to try to get back inside this area, and we did use this golden pocket as support, so that's a good sign. We've come down several times here, pretty much on 5 of these candles, and we have bounced in this golden pocket area. And again, if we can get above this box area, which the top of the box is around 35.7, 35.8, and use it as support, then I think Bitcoin will push higher. The 3-week chart is also quite interesting to look at. And if we look at the 3-week chart, this box can be drawn on this candle here, and we can see we are holding above this area with the top of this box around 33,000, and we can see all these wicks down, and it does sort of capture the price a bit better. We also looked at this chart in the previous video. I was comparing that 2013 pullback mid-cycle and saying perhaps we're doing a similar thing here, because we did have this big run up which was similar to 2013. And I just had these parallel lines drawn with the top here and the bottom on the pullback on the RSI, and we just drew them across to capture the top here where we did come up into that 60,000 area. And currently it looks like we came back to the bottom of this trend line and we have bounced, so that is a good sign. And this one will take a while to play out because it is on the 2-week chart, but this one will be an interesting one to follow. We also showed the stochastic RSI had completely cooled off, similar to the 2013 pullback here. We've also been watching market Cipher for these green dots. We did get a green dot on the daily. We also got one here on the 2-day that has been confirmed. And currently we do have one on the 3-day, but we will have to wait till the 27th of July to confirm that one. The 4-day also has a green dot currently, and we'll have to wait for the 28th of July to confirm that one. And the 5-day also has a green dot, and we'll have to wait for the 25th of July to confirm that one. So this is a good sign that we're getting these green dots from the 1-day to the 5-day. But the main one we've been waiting for is the green dot here on the weekly, which we still don't have one present, and the new week is opening up in a couple of days. And what I've done on this chart is I've loaded market Cipher 5 times here, and I've gotten rid of all the other things except for the green dots. And the top one is the 1-day chart, then the 2-day, the 3-day, the 4-day, and the weekly, just to look at where these green dots occur. These vertical lines here are the start of each week, so we can just analyze these green dots and see how it plays out. So we can see here after this initial drop we got a dot on the daily, followed by the 2-day, the 3-day, and the 4-day, but we never got one on the weekly here. You can see when we open the new week here, this is the daily chart with the candles. We can see we had this big drop here, and again here we had an opportunity. We got the green dot here on the 2-day, the 3-day, then the 4-day. But then on the opening of the new weekly here, we did come back down again, and we never got that green dot on the weekly. And recently we've been getting these green dots here quite quickly, all during the same week. As we said, we got it on the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4-day, and now we're just waiting here for the weekly dot. And the weekly will open in a couple of days here. So hopefully we don't do a similar thing here to this previous run up and have a big pullback during the next week. I think if we can carry on in this range, there's a good chance we will see that green dot on the weekly quite soon. and that would be a good sign for me to know that the bottom is in, and I would be expecting Bitcoin to run higher. And just to look back in the past here using these green dots, this is back in 2019. This is the stock market crash here, and we can see this happened several times. We got these green dots and we got a weekly green dot down here. We can see that was a good indication that this was the bottom of this formation here, and then we did go quite a lot higher, going from 6.8 to 10.5, so that would have been a really good trade. And then here we did have these green dots coming down after the stock market crash, and when we finally got the weekly here on the 20th of April, we can see that that was a very good entry and the end of this sideways action here, and the prices of course took off there from 6.8 and carried on all the way up to that 60,000 area. Another example here with the weekly green dot is around here, and we can see after all that sideways action, once we got that green dot on the weekly, that's when prices really started going up quite quick. And also during this area here, once we got that green dot on the weekly, it was a good indication that this sideways bottoming formation here had ended, and then we did start going up quite a lot. So that's why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on that weekly green dot, as in the past it's been a great time to enter a long trade. And there are just a couple more here on this green dot here, 27th of December 2020. We can see that we did carry on quite a bit higher after that. And this isn't perfect, of course. This green dot here on the weekly was a terrible time to go long. We did have this big drop here. You know, there was a lot of manipulation here at the top, but looking at all those previous green dots, we can see the majority of them were really great times to get into a long trade. So we'll have to watch for next week's open, and I think we will come down and fill that gap if one's made, and I would be looking for a long entry there, possibly when the gap is closed, and also I'd use a fib retracement, look for that golden pocket, possibly even the 0.5 level, as things do seem quite bullish. And if we do get that green dot on the weekly, we will have to of course wait for the next week to open to confirm it, but we'll just have to see what happens on the Monday and if that dot does appear. So I think that's about all. Thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. See you next time. Bye.